All right, everybody. Um, Today I wanted to walk everyone through a specific line in the Evans Gambit. This isn't going to be a video talking about the Evans Gambit in its entirety. I'll probably cover some main ideas, but really I just want to go over this one line just because it's so beautiful and it ends with um, a mate that you don't see very often and some really good ideas. So maybe it's not going to give you all the theory in the Evans Gambit, but maybe you're inspired. So let's get into it. So the Evans Gambit starts out with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and we get an Italian game where your opponent plays bishop c5. And now the pivotal b4. Black will usually accept the gambit. If they don't, it's not good. But for the most part, they will take the pawn. And then c3. This is pretty much the only moves here. The bishop retreats, and then you play the critical move d4. And now you're looking to take over the center and open up lines, maybe the e file. Your bishops will become a monster. And always be mindful that you have a dark squared bishop. Your light squared bishop is powerful, but your dark squared bishop also is powerful. Yeah.
Do you want me to put that stuff away and just you pull it out when you're ready, or
Yeah, that'd be fine.
because you're not ready to eat yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just get whenever.
Okay.
All right, sorry for that. Now, D takes, and now I want everybody to really pay attention here. Let me make this big. Look at me, and don't take the pawn back. You should castle. Okay, now we're back. Hopefully you remember that now. A lot of people will take this pawn. Don't take the pawn. Just castle. There's no reason to take the pawn. Don't be the 2,692 people that took the pawn. So we castle. What the fuck? Okay. Now, black is going to make a mistake here. This pawn probably shouldn't be taken as black. You can see here d takes c3 proves nice for white. 59% of the games are win. Pawn takes, and now you can see bishop a3 is a nice move, stopping black from castling, which is a common theme in the Evans. So when black mistakenly takes this pawn, we play queen b3. And you'll see there's a couple ideas. If the knight comes to h6 to defend this f7 pawn, this weakness, then we can simply take it with our bishop, and black's going to be down a piece. If white plays queen d7, we can simply take the pawn back on c3. We're developed. We have threats. It's going to be a fun game. Now, black can play queen f6. And this defends the pawn, and we can't just simply recapture with the knight, because then we would lose a piece. Now we play bishop g5. This attacks the queen. It asks where it's going to go. And the queen is going to have to relinquish control of the c3 pawn. Queen g6, moving out of the way of the attack. Knight takes c3. Bishop takes c3. Queen takes c3. And we have this trade. And there's some interesting ideas here. We can see that the rooks maybe will come to the middle. The D and E files are half open. And we still have some pressure. You know, there's a lot of pressure coming down on the king side. And black is definitely, it's equal, but it's very difficult to play for black. If we turn on the blowfish here, it's equal. But I'd rather play white. Now, knight comes out to e7. Black just wants to castle, right? You're taking the knight out. We'll see. Bishop takes e7. And the critical mistake. You'll see everybody takes with the knight, but that's actually the losing move. If you take with the king, it looks scary. You can't castle. But you'll see why taking with the knight puts you in a precarious position. Knight takes, and now you can see that the knight has relinquished control of the e5 square. And that square is critical because now our knight can come into the e5 square with tempo on the queen on g6, and we can also put more pressure on the pawn on f7. So knight e5, and you'll see white is scoring really well. It'd be hard to mess this position up unless you're playing a much stronger opponent. Now, if the queen takes on e4, we would simply play rook e1, and we have open lines towards the king. The game's over. So we play queen f6. This will defend the f7 pawn. And maybe you're trying to figure out what happens next. Because while you can take on f7, it's not. I mean, it seems like the black king is getting away. Bishop takes f7. Do this little calculation in your head. Bishop takes f7. King moves to f8. Queen takes on c7. And you'll start to realize, like, oh, maybe I'm losing the bishop, or maybe I'm losing some kind of material here. Even though the queen holds together the knight, which protects the bishop. So we'll see this unravel. Bishop takes f7 check. King moves to f8. Queen takes on c8. Now, if you play g6, I'm going to play bishop b3. And it's going to be fun. We have a lot of attacking chances here, and we'll see that white is much better. This is obvious. If you want to study this position, put it on the board and figure it out for yourself. Let's turn off the fish because it's making everything laggy. Now, if you play d6, it's mate in 1. So maybe the best move here, maybe the one that takes the longest to lose, is knight c6. Now, with knight c6, we're going to see a trade of knights. Black will recapture. And if you want to pause your video and calculate this one out, you can. But it's going to get pretty fun. Knight takes c6. dc6. You say, well, Sam, why not cc6? You could do that as well. But it's losing after I drop my bishop back. And it's not fun. And we'll see after dc6. I'm not going to drop my bishop back. I'm going to play rook 81. Now I have open lines against your king. My computer is going to crash. Hopefully not. And here, it seems like black can just take the bishop, right? It seems like the king and the queen attack the bishop. And once the queen captures and my queen captures and your king captures, black's simply going to be up a piece here. But that's actually incorrect. Because after the black queen captures the bishop, it's mate in 1. Well, it's mate in a couple. Takes. We give a nice little check. Boom. Queen here, and you can see it's over. Not quite mating, but it's over, obviously. This game was over 10 moves ago. Now, instead of taking and losing your queen, we attack the rook. This enables this rook to come into the defense, and maybe black's holding here. No, f4. Now notice some key alignments here. I want you to notice the position of the f rook, the f pawn, the queen, and the black king. Now keep that into mind because it's going to become very apparent on what's going on. Queen takes the bishop. Rook comes in. d8 check. Well, Sam, what about rook takes? Why can't I just take with the rook? Well, you can take with the rook, but then I'm going to take with the queen. Well, I feel like I can just block with the queen, right? If I block with the queen, I'm fine, right? Well, you're forgetting. Remember the F file. Remember that the rook's on the F file. And this is a key point. Alignment of pieces can always generate tactics. So that's why even if these files look cluttered, you can see back here, this file looks cluttered. It doesn't look like it's going to become open. But a few moves later, we're in this position, where after black blocks with the queen, I play fg4. F takes g4. And this is simply mate. There's nothing black can do to stop it. You'll notice that the queen is pinned to the king. The king is under check. It cannot move. Only move is here, relinquishing protection of the queen, and queen takes e8 pound. So I found this line to be really instructive. I think it's fascinating and beautiful in multiple ways. And if you can implement some of the concepts from this game into your own games, you may see some results. And the Evans Gambit's always fun. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. And shout out to my mom for telling me that dinner was ready. I'm sure everybody appreciated that. All right.